Tanny Cooks here, and today I'm going to show you how to make this absolutely delicious pan-fried jerk whole red snapper. It is delicious, it is fresh, it is perfect for a springtime meal. So I bought these red snappers from my local store. You'll notice that I have 6 of them in there. I bought these from Costco. It was $25 for the 6 of them. I have some fresh veggies, including onions, sweet peppers, lime, and then I have my seasonings. Grace's jerk seasoning, ginger, onion powder, and garlic powder. I'm also going to be using salt and pepper. So I do wash my meat. You want to inspect your fish to make sure the eyes are bright and fresh. I left them soaking in water with lime, so they look a little bit cloudy at this point because they've been soaking. But I wash my fish because I like to take my knife and make sure that all the scales are off. So I'm cooking this, and look, there's scales on it. Most of the scales were taken off, but apparently they left a little bit on there, and I definitely don't want to eat that. It's not that enjoyable. It won't hurt you, but it's just a different texture that you don't want. So the skin in fish that is oily has some healthy fats in it, and it's good for you, and I just like the taste, so I do eat the skin on my red snapper. So I'm just taking my knife, and for each fish I am making sure all the scales have been removed. So then I wash and use a paper towel to dry each of my fish. This is the jerk seasoning. It has paprika in it, it has garlic, it has allspice. You can certainly make this at home. This jar you refrigerate after opening, and I like this because I've never made jerk seasoning at home, and so I like the taste of this, but I definitely will try making my own because it looks pretty simple. So this fish has been gutted before I bought it, but I like to go in and use my knife just to cut some slits on the inside of the fish to make sure my seasoning penetrates the actual meat and it's not just on the skin on the outside of the fish. You want to use a little paring knife for this that you have good control over, and you want to make sure your fish, your hands, and your knife are all dry for safety purposes so the knife doesn't slip and slide in your hand. Now I'm using my knife, holding it at about a 45-degree angle to cut a couple of slits into the sides of each fish. The number of slits you need will depend on how big your fish is. You may need just one, or if your fish is much bigger, you may need several more. This will help the fish to cook quicker because the skin is exposed. It will also help the seasonings and flavors to soak into the meat as well, instead of just laying on the surface. So give your fish a flip over so that you can cut your slits on both sides. You want to cut the slits not all the way down to the bone. So you just want a light surface slit in it. If you go all the way to the bone, it's not the end of the world, but just don't cut all the way through your fish. That's not the goal that we're going for here. You're basically like scoring the skin and the meat. So try your first one, and if you realize it's a little too deep, then you know just to cut a little more shallow for your next fish. So now I'm going to go ahead and start adding my dry seasonings. And this fish, we're actually going to let it marinate for several minutes. So you can let this marinate for 30 minutes to a couple of hours to make sure the seasonings really penetrate. So I'm using garlic powder, onion powder. Now I do have a link to McCormick's Caribbean Jerk dry spice. I've used that before. I usually use that with my wings, chicken wings, but I didn't use it with my fish because I just wanted to use the Grace's wet seasoning for this one. So I'm using my squeezable fresh ginger, and I'm squeezing it on the inside of the fish because I want to get that nice ginger flavor to penetrate the meat. So just a tablespoon per each fish is fine. If you put a little bit too much in one fish, you could scoop it out and put it in the next one. No big deal. I didn't put the ginger on the outside because we're going to pan fry this in my cast iron wok. I didn't want that part to burn. So now I'm just taking a heaping tablespoon of the jerk seasoning, and I'm rubbing it on the outside of the fish. You'll notice the beautiful deep color. When this fries, it will look dark, so it may look burnt to you, but it's not. You have to remember the jerk seasoning that we're putting on the outside and letting marinate is very dark itself because of the ingredients. And it smells so amazing before you even cook it. So I'm just rubbing the jerk seasoning all over the fish on the outside, the inside. Also make sure to get seasoning into those slits that we cut on both sides of the fish. So you may decide to add additional seasoning. I'm adding more garlic powder. You can add this on the second side as well as the first side. I'm also adding more of my jerk marinade seasoning and just making sure that it's rubbed in. And then once I have my fish seasoned, I'm just adding it to a clear bowl to let it sit on the side in the refrigerator to marinate. So you can marinate it in the refrigerator and then take it out and let it rest and come to room temperature for a few minutes. Or if you're only going to marinate for a total of 5 to 10 minutes, then you can leave it on the counter. Next up, I am going to cut up my sweet mini bell peppers. These are so festive looking, but they do have a whole lot of seeds in them. So you can cut these under running water to make it easy to get rid of the seeds. I just happen to be cutting on the cutting board. So what I'm going to do is first I'm just going to try and get them out manually without water. But those seeds are sticking to my hands and they're flying everywhere on the cutting board. So what is easier for me to do is just get a bowl of water and then I dip my cut mini bell peppers in that, and then the seeds come out into the water much easier. But you could either do it this way or under running water. Either way will be fine. So once you have your seeds out of your bell peppers, you want to dry them off completely before you try to give them a cut. It is much easier and safer to cut your vegetables when they're completely dry so that the knife will be dry so that it won't slip in your hand and cause you to cut yourself. So my peppers are dry, so now I'm using a little paring knife to cut them. And you can decide how big you want to cut your peppers. I'm using mine kind of as a garnishment salad type topping for my fish. So I'm going to cut each piece into about 4 or 6 pieces. It really depends on the size of each pepper. A few were much bigger than the others. So just cut it to a size that you like. And there you have it, some beautiful sliced bell peppers. I'm also using a red onion. Red onion has an incredibly sweet flavor, and the purple color is always a nice treat on a dinner plate. So we're going to cut these into similar sizes as our bell peppers just for the presentation purposes of our garnishment side salad on top of the fish. And so there you have it. Just cut up your onions. And note that both of these vegetables have high water content, so they will shrink down some as they cook and the vegetables will release that water into the pan. So the garnished salad will be a little bit smaller than the pieces we cut fresh. I'm also using lime. Lime, citrus in general goes great with fish, and with snapper, this lime juice is amazing to squeeze on it. You almost don't need many more seasonings besides lime juice for your fish if you really want to get down to it. Of course, I'm jazzing it up with a little bit more. I've heated up my cast iron wok, and now I'm adding some extra virgin olive oil. And to this, I am adding some sesame oil, 100% sesame oil for flavor. It is amazing flavor with Asian-inspired dishes and Caribbean dishes. I like the taste of sesame. Of course, if you're allergic to it, then you can leave it out altogether. So now that my oil has heated up in the pan, I am adding my veggies to it. You want to be careful because this oil is very hot, so be sure not to splatter it on yourself. Using my wooden spoon, I'm just giving my veggies a quick little mix in the hot oil to make sure they cook evenly. And so now my fish has rested outside of the refrigerator, so now I am going to add it to the hot oil. This is the same oil that I cooked my vegetables in, so I scooped out the veggies and set them to the side, and now I'm adding my fish. Now, how long it takes to fry your fish will depend on the size of your fish, the size of your pan, and how hot your pan is. So you want to let it cook completely on one side so that you don't have to turn it multiple times and it break apart. You want it to cook long enough so that the fish is white, that it is no longer raw on that side. The skin is going to look extra dark if you use the same jerk seasoning that I use, because it does contain a lot of spices and other seasonings that gave it that dark color before we even start to cook it. The one thing you want to be sure you don't do, though, is overcook your fish. And so this fish was cooked for about 6 or 7 minutes on both sides, and it was absolutely delicious. I plated it up with my bell peppers and onions on top. I added green onions. I had some leftover yellow rice from the night before, so I added that on the side. And I added fresh sliced lime wedges because I squirted that lime juice directly on my fish, and it was absolutely amazing. If you give this recipe a try, be sure to leave me a comment down below. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel.